No, I love this thing. That's You're ready. Let's get ready. The doors are leaving. What's in charge? We'll get started. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, it's not Jeff. How are you? Okay, so at this time, we're going to bring the regular meeting of the Board of Plattsburgh Municipal Lighting Department for August 31st, 2023 to order. We'll take roll call. Director Vaughn. Here. Director Kelly. Here. Director Gibbs is here. Director Talent. Here. Director Bott. Here. Director Moore is here. Director Rosenfeld. There. Manager Tracy is here. CFO is not. Item number 1, minutes of the previous meeting. Can I get a first and a second on the meeting minutes? First by Director Vaughn. Second. Sorry. Director Rosenquist. Any discussion?
I have one.
You have one?
The last one, we had a bid item for purchasing electric power distribution transformers. It was about $843,466. That order is being canceled.
This is for the approval of the minutes from last meeting.
Yeah, that's in the last minutes that we had. The council approved the bid. What happened was we issued the company the purchase order and did not sign the contract. And less than 3 weeks after we gave it to them, they came back and demanded another $91,000. They had written in escalation clause, but usually that only comes into play when they get ready to deliver something. They even say, okay, because metal costs have gone up. You now pay X amount of dollars. Well, they're not planning to deliver these transformers until sometime in 2026. And here we are, less than 3 weeks from the bid opening, and they're raising our prices already, which means they gave us a bogus bid to get it, probably undercut it just to get the bid, and figured we'd give them the money. I told them no, and they said they would cancel. So I'm working on Plan C for November.
Okay, so does that affect the item about approving the minutes from last meeting?
No, not from last June.
Right.
Yeah, the only difference is I haven't got the official confirmation yet, but I will gonna have to change this and put in the bid was canceled.
Okay, so that's forthcoming.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been told it's on the way today.
All right, so we will wait to hear back from you about that. Any other discussion? Hello, Director Moore, how are you? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? The first was Director Bond, the second was Director Rosenquist.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item number 2 is the financial report presented by Manager Tracy. Can I get a first and a second on that? First by Director Bach, second by Director Kelly. Discussion.
Revenues are ahead of expenses again in for the month of July. Billing so far has been good. The payments of X exempts, unfortunately, are still continuing to decline. We're up to 1.8 million so far this year. We probably will cross 3 million by December. There's really nothing we can do about it. It's a surcharge the state is putting up every ratepayer in the country to pay for the green initiative, putting in the solar and wind. And there's a lot more coming down the pipe, so those numbers will increase over the next few years.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, roll call, Director Bond? Yes. Yes, Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Gibbs is a yes, Director Talon? Yes. Director Bach? Yes. Director Moore?
Yes.
Director Rosenthal?
Yeah.
That item is adopted. Item number 3 is departmental reports, work in progress, IEEP, and anything. Director Tracy.
Yeah, I gave, you have in your packages the work in progress. I don't need to read that to you. It's pretty straightforward. Probably the biggest issue was in August 10th, 2023, when we had a large Little Street come over. I think, Councilor Talon knows about that.
Yes, they do.
That, took power away from 5 houses over at Adams Street. And it was a private street. But it took us about 24 hours to get the power restored over there. Some of that, at least 2 of the houses, they had structural damage in their services were ripped away from their houses. So right now, their electrician set up a temporary feed. At some point, I guess they're working with their insurance companies to get more permanent repairs done. Then we'll have to cut the power. They'll have to redo the work and we'll reconnect again whenever that occurs.
Okay.
I did pretty much everything that was explained last time. The only thing that's still out there is converting our main building at 217 Sharon Avenue heat pumps. They're still in order. They're hoping they will show up by November. But they're a long lead item. And they haven't gotten a firm delivery date yet.
Okay.
The other thing that I have is, and I don't want anybody to panic.
Don't start something now.
I just wanted to advise, I had a conference call recently with the New York Power Authority, with their engineers and my consultants from the New York Municipal Power Agency and myself. And what they wanted to call and notify us that they're rebuilding 2 transmission lines into the North Country. They're currently at 235,000 volts. They're being upgraded to 345,000 volts. Additionally, they have 2 other 115,000 volts in, but those, the first 2 are the primary lines. Getting right-of-ways for transmission lines in New York State is almost impossible these days. So what they're having to do is they're shutting one line down and rebuilding it. It's going to take a little over a year to rebuild. Basically, they're taking it out section by section. They take out a section, rebuild that section, move on, take another section out, rebuild it, and it's going from Messina all the way over to Beekman 10. The concern they wanted to advise is that means we only have one main line coming into the North Country other than the 2 smaller lines. If something were to happen, because they got to work in this easement, like a crane operator hits a pole, breaks a pole, we could lose power on the second line. 2 115 lines do not support power up here. Now, there's a number of different steps that have to go through, and that'd be up to the New York Independent System Operator that runs the transmission lines. But the worst case scenario would be load shedding. And those lines feed National Grid, they feed NYSEG, and they feed New York Power. The other 2 entities would have to cut probably the largest part of power. The New York Power Authority has basically us up here as their largest customer.
MLD.
And yes, the city of Plattsburgh. So the discussion was, we could, depending on the situation and when it occurs, have to shed 10 to 30 megawatts of power, which would have to be done fairly quickly. That in itself is not a problem. We have a plan in place for that situation, but they said we're just advising you, and because of the situation, you don't have the duplication of the power line, at least for the next 2 years, because when they finish one, they're going to start on the second one. they're betting nothing will happen, but you can never tell. Plus, they also said New York ISO has a number of rules that in difficult times like hot weather periods, we got high temperatures or even cold temperatures, they will not allow any work to occur on those lines to ensure that there's no outage possibility. Because you can't risk losing the other line. So it was just it was just notifying us of that possibility. I mean, there's nothing we really can do about it. The 2115 lines would not support power up here, and eventually they would start to overheat and melt, which would cause more problems.
Oh my God.
So hopefully nothing happens in the next 2 years.
That's why we can't.
Well, it's always been a risk. I mean, I've been in this business for 20 years up here. It's always been a risk. Even when we had the two headlines, at one point up to a couple of years ago, they were on the same poles. So if one pole got taken out, both lines were going to be done anyhow. And there was a number of times I got calls 2 or 3 in the morning telling me you could lose power in 30 minutes, possibly. And I had to call the mayor's up. There's no time to notify anybody else. The mayor will be the quickest one to notify, and then we just have to deal with it as it comes along. But that was, they just wanted us to be aware of the construction and the risks. With that, they were going to take every precaution to ensure power is not interrupted. That's all I have.
Okay. Item number 4, monthly write-offs. Can I get a motion and a second to discuss 4A, 4B, and 4C?
Motion.
Director Rosenquist, seconded by Director Kelly. Discussion? Pretty standard?
Yeah.
And any anomalies? Is any of this higher, lower, or is it just
No, it's
pretty steady?
I mean, the first one is a little high, but it's coming out of the winter months when the you can use more electricity. And it's always high in the January, February, March, April time frame. And then it trails off for the rest of the year.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call. Director Bond. Yes. Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Gibbs is yes. Director Now. Yes. Director Bach. Yes. Director Moore.
Yes.
Director Rosenquist.
Yes.
And is adopted. Item number 5 on the agenda: Margaret Street Lighting System Improvement Bonding Resolution. Can I get a first and a second? Okay. First from Director Rosenquist. Can I get a second on that? Oh, Director Bach. Discussion. So is this the bond that's going to pay for the Margaret Street, like the electrical that's connected to the current Margaret Street project that's happening? Is that what this is?
This is for the actual street lights.
Okay.
That's going in. They're replacing the conduits, putting new cable in. The street lights themselves I have to move because I think the sidewalks are being widened there, so they got to move forward. And there's the lights up there are from 20 years ago. They were put in the 1990s. So some of them are starting to look their age.
Okay.
Well, we had initially thought we could take it out of our depreciation fund, but we wound up with additional billing that I hadn't planned on showing up. There's a PSAP award for $550,000, which is doing a number of traffic lights and pedestrian crossing, making them ADA compliant. That was awarded this year. We have to pay that full. We get the grant. We will get the money back, but the project probably won't be finished till about November. We've already started paying out several payments already. So once we make the final payment, then we have to submit into the state to get reimbursed. And don't know how long that's going to take. And additionally, I was just notified a month ago that the line truck that I ordered almost 3 years ago is finally going to show up. Obviously, I promise it. I'll believe it when I see it in the driveway, but it's a hybrid truck, so this one will the hydraulic features on the truck will be battery operated. And we don't have to run the diesel engine continuously to operate the boom and stuff.
Great, very good.
And that's 350. So with all these coming in at the same time, the easiest way to do this, and is the bonded. And I talked to Richard Marks, and we're going to try to get a 10-year bond if possible. He doesn't know if that's possible. Will work. We might have to go with it way. Either way, it would solve my cash flow situation. Smooth that.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll move to roll call. Director Vaughn? Yes. Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Gibbs is yes. Director Talon? Yes. Director Pop? Yes. Director Moore?
Yes.
Director Rosen? That's adopted. Item number 6, is there any old business to come before this board? Okay, seeing none. Item 7, is there any new business to come before this board? I have a question for you. I was having a conversation with a gentleman who lives at Lake Country Village, and he told me, maybe I knew this already, I don't know, at the time I was talking to him, it seemed like news to me. They are not heating their homes with electricity there.
No.
Natural gas.
It's actually yes.
What will they need to do in order to transfer over to electric heating?
We're probably going to have to spend somewhere between $10 and $20 million. That's why they never did it. My predecessor 20 years ago, when I came along, had suggested to the developer there, the house builder, that he put in electric. They said no, because they wanted to sell the houses as cheaply as possible. This has come up several times, but they got to upgrade the houses. They have to upgrade the panels inside the house. I don't know what they're going to put in. I mean, they have hot water heating systems. If they're going to put in electric boilers, or they're going to totally regut the place and put baseboard heat out. I have no idea, but it's probably going to cost up 10 to 20 million, maybe more, because that would be their responsibility. Our responsibility would be only on the primary side. We would have $2 million worth of, probably have to replace transformers, probably upgrade some of the primary there, but they would have to upgrade everything else. So they brought it up a number of times over the last 20 years. And the last time they talked to me about it was probably about 10 years ago. And I forget who I talked to, it was somebody off the housing association. And they said, well, we have over 100 houses that have leaking roofs. So we got to take care of the roofs first.
When is that going to be mandated in New York State? I mean, we're coming up on just a few years, right? For New York State, what's everybody to be heating with electricity?
The date they picked is 2040. Personally, I think that's fantasy, because, for example, New York City, every apartment building in New York City needs to be gutted and redone in order to make that happen, because they're all either by oil or natural gas. I can't see them getting rid of natural gas anytime soon. There's been talks of banning it by 2035, but I don't think that's realistic at all, because they won't have the electric power available to do that. They're talking right now. They figure as of a year ago, they would need about 124 gigawatts of power. The state can generate only about 36, and less than 30 gigawatts is all they can put on the transmission lines. So they've got a long way to go before they can even get there. And they even admit they can't even get, they don't know if they can get to 124. And from what I understand, that number is still continuing to grow out, so it's getting larger and larger as time moves along. But they, in the case of New York City, or in New York, excuse me, they mandated, I think starting in 2026, any buildings up to 7 feet tall have to be all electric. And sometime after that, they're then going to go for buildings that are larger. But they haven't said when they're going to mandate going back. I think the problem is they don't know who's going to pay for that.
Okay. That was the only new business I had. Anybody else have any other new business? Okay, item number 8, persons addressing the board. Is there anybody here who would like to address the MLD board?
No. Good answer.
Then I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Director Rosenblatt, second by Director Bond. And, oh, sorry, I can't adjourn the meeting. Roll call, sorry. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Director Bond? Yes. Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Gibbs, yes. Director Talon? Yes. Director Bob? Yes. Director Moore?
Yes.
Director Rosenblatt?
Yeah.
Now we're adjourned. By, 20.